Richard Whittle is our guest. He's the author of a new book called The Dream Machine, The Untold History. The new book, I should say, is Predator, The Secret Origins of the Drone Revolution. Richard Whittle, a veteran Pentagon correspondent. Good morning, Richard.
Good morning, McGraw.
Last night, we're hearing about all these airstrikes and these Tomahawk missiles, but drones were also used last night, right?
Yeah, well, we don't know the details of that yet, but they certainly, it was announced that Predators and a derivative called the Reaper were used, and that makes a lot of sense. You can use the Predator, which fires a Hellfire missile, a very, very discriminating weapon, at small targets where you want to try to avoid collateral damage, as it's called. But drones are also very important, as I explain in my book. In showing manned aircraft where targets are, helping commanders see the battlefield and know what's going on. It's really a phenomenal capability.
So more or less the drone going forward is going to be the eyes and the ears, or is it going to carry weapons to deliver the weapons?
Well, it's done both. Since we're at a stage, we're getting drones all over the place now. The military has more than 10,000, and we have thousands that are coming into the civilian world. I tell the story, the drone revolution is reaching biblical proportions, and my book is, I like to think of it as the book of Genesis. I explain how we got here. The Predator is the drone that changed everything. It's the first drone that was used for targeted killings by the United States. It's the first drone that was rigged to be flown by remote control over the other side of the planet. And it's the aircraft that opened the door to the drone revolution.
In terms of technology, I know this is all science fiction, but actually the drone technology is not that advanced, right?
Well, McGraw, it's actually science fact. One of the amazing things about the Predator is that the aircraft itself is not particularly complicated. It's made of composite materials. It's lightweight. It only flies about 82 miles an hour in the air. But the science fiction becomes science fact is what the Air Force did in 2001. They rigged it so that an air crew sitting in a ground control station on the CIA campus could control the Predator as it flew over Afghanistan in an attempt to kill Osama bin Laden. That's a story I tell in the book.
So you can sit safely in America and then direct this drone in Afghanistan?
Yeah, the way I describe it in the book, it's the first weapon in history that lets its operators stalk and kill a single individual on the other side of the globe from a position of total invulnerability.
The book is called Predator, The Secret Origins of the Drone Revolution. All right. Since it's so great and so wonderful and yet relatively simple in some aspects, how much longer before the bad guys start having drones?
Well, everybody's trying. There are about 50 countries in the world that are building their own drones, and the Chinese have a Predator knockoff they call the pterodactyl. But as I said, building the aircraft itself is not the trick. The trick is in the software and in the communications architecture. And a lot of people ask, well, so are we in danger from, are people going to start doing to us what we have done to the terrorists and suspected terrorists in Pakistan? And I think the answer is no, because these aircraft are also very easy to shoot down. We couldn't be using them in a country like, say, Iran or China, a country that has air defenses. And our air defenses are probably the best in the world. So
you're saying that it's hard to use because of the air defenses?
It's hard to use against what the military likes to call a peer competitor. One Air Force General, McGraw, told me the easiest way to shoot down a Predator is to fly next to it in a helicopter with a 12-gauge shotgun.
We've got some drones here in the studio, and they've sort of brought them in, and they've rammed them up against a wall, and they just sort of went back flying. I mean, so they're actually almost, I don't want to say indestructible, but they are very, very sturdy.
Well, now you're talking about these little things called quadcopters, and these are the new civilian drones. Everybody's putting little cameras on and those like that. The Predator is a full-size aircraft. Its wingspan is 55 feet. It wouldn't fit in your studio, and those little quadcopters. That's the kind of thing that Amazon hopes to use to deliver books like mine in the future, and I wish them luck with that.
Yeah. Do you see that happening?
I think it's a very difficult problem. The FAA is working on regulations now to to create rules for drones to share civilian airspace. It's one of the things is, a manned aircraft, the pilot has to be able to see and avoid other aircraft. And smart people are working on technologies to allow drones to see, sense, and avoid other aircraft, or detect and avoid other aircraft. But it's a very difficult problem because that equipment adds weight. And also right now, the batteries that fly these little drones don't last much more than about 20 minutes before you have to recharge them.
Richard?
Is it true that half of the drones bought by the Air Force have been involved in major accidents too?
Well, I wouldn't call it major accidents. About half of the Predators that the Air Force bought crashed or were shot down. But, the good news on that is that, they didn't cost very much. When the Predator was first built, it cost $1.5 million. That compares with, nearly $100 million for today's manned fighter aircraft. In all the drone crashes, no one has ever been killed.
Because no one's there.
Yeah,
that's right.
No one's in it.
Richard Whittle, wish we had more time, but that's why the book is here. The Secret Origins of the Drone Revolution. The book is called Predator. Richard Whittle, veteran Pentagon correspondent with ABC News. I got one more question for you. How much of this Predator technology and able to use is directly related to the kid who grew up playing video games?
Not much. It's a lot of it is actually, as I tell the story in my book, a lot of it is due to a former Israeli aeronautical engineer who was a kid in Baghdad in 1937 who grew up making model aircraft and learning how to make them fly as long as possible.
So these kids who end up great at these video games don't then grow up to be pilots in some bunker somewhere with a joystick flying drones in Afghanistan? Well,
they can, but McGraw, I have interviewed a number of drone pilots, including people can meet in my book the Predator pilot who was at the controls when they found Osama bin Laden in 2000 in Afghanistan, and who fired the first Hellfire missile in the war in Afghanistan. And he and others tell me that it's not like playing a video game. They know they're at war. They see the bodies fly after the Hellfire missile strikes. And a lot of them actually are suffering symptoms of, if not have full-blown cases of PTSD.
Richard Whittle, the book is called Predator, The Secret Origins of the Drone Revolution. ABC News veteran Pentagon correspondent. Richard, thanks for the time.
Thank you.
You got it. 7:30 here, Big 550, KTRS.
It's fascinating.
Really interesting stuff, considering they used drones last night in the airstrikes with Syria.